Now let's talk about the second aspect. Remember we just said that the body reveals the person? The body also reveals God. And let me show you how. The body reveals God because, well, let me show you by way of juxtaposition. That means the opposite. All right. If these things, let's call them things, were to speak, and they might say this to you, be my friend. And they said, be my friend, with this growl, and then they were just really mean. How many of y'all would want to be friends with this thing? I sometimes do this with 7th graders by doing Play-Doh, and oh my gosh, the Play-Doh figurines, especially the boys, they always do the best because they make the ugliest figure. If God had made us like this, we would know that we're meant to be enemies, not friends. But how does God make us? God makes us with hands so that we can shake each other's hands, with arms that we can hug each other, with lips that you guys could kiss your old mama and you could express love to those people that you care about. And so why does God make us like this? Well, because the body lets us know that we're meant to be a gift. So when we express ourselves and we give the gift of ourselves to others, then that is like God. Let me give you an example. So like if you saw one of your friends and he or she was crying, for you to go over there and kind of put your arm around him or her and hug him or her and just kind of listen, you are being like God. Why? Because you're using your body to express yourself. And what does it say? It says, I care about you. I am your friend. Within God, in His inner life, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the three persons of the Blessed Trinity are always friends with each other. They are the best of friends. So if you see in this diagram here, in the diagram, the Father, you see, is pointing to the Son. And the Son receives and returns such love. And that love is so strong. Look in the middle of the diagram. That is the uncreated Holy Spirit. So the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are always giving to each other. They are a communion of friendship, of life and love. So when you and I are friends properly with each other, then we image God. Think about how different that then makes our lives. Holiness is not something that, you have to go to church all the time and just make sure your hands are properly folded. Not that that's not good, but that is not necessarily the path to holiness. Instead, the path to holiness is by giving the gift of self. And when we give the gift of self, we form friendship with others, and that is exactly like God is. He is a friend. The Father is a friend to the Son, and the Son to the Holy Spirit, etc. So, I talked to you about the fact that the body reveals the person, and then the body reveals God. The body also reveals God in another way. That is, we see what? Guys and girls. Where are my Barbie dolls? Actually, this is not, whoa. This is not Barbie, it's Sharpay. We're all in this together. Okay, and this is, I think his foot got cut off. Blown away in an army or something. These, let's pretend like they're human, right? We know they're dolls. But there are two ways, Pope John Paul says, of being human. One is masculine and one is feminine. And what he says is that because there are two ways of being human, it tells us something. It tells us that, well, what? He might say to her, hey, do you want to go to ice cream? Okay, maybe an older man would not say you want to go to ice cream, but what he's saying is, you're kind of cute. And she, look at her, woo! So she might say, oh, okay, I think he might like me. And so, what Pope John Paul says is, that lets us know that we are supposed to be attracted to the opposite sex, and that is something that's good. It is not something that's bad. The reason why I think we often think that it might be bad is because society then tells us, because we're attracted, then do this and this and this. But in fact, that's the opposite of love. The opposite of love is using another person. It's not hatred, it's use. So, let's think about that. You know, a lot of times I think guys and girls think that they can use each other, and that is some sort of display of love or concern. But really the opposite is going on. It's the opposite of love, because it's really using the other person. Pope John Paul also, what does he do? He broadens the way that we might think about using. Let me say it this way. When I learned about the theology of the body about 9 years ago, I changed my life, because then I thought about the word using. What if I only called my parents when I needed something from them? What if my friends, if they were conveniently able to help me for something, then I would talk to them, but otherwise, no. So I started examining my relationship with others, even with strangers. And I realized, gosh, I think I'm falling into using others. You might think about this. Do you only talk to your parents when you can get something from them? And mind you, it's good to get help from our family and our friends. But I mean, if that's the only time do you talk to your mom or dad, Mom, can I have $10? Dad, can I have this? Then examine that and see if you are falling into use. What about your friend with the we? You know, are you playing, you know, some sort of stuff? My nephew, he always makes me play Guitar Hero, and he kills me. Anyway, but do you only go and play Guitar Hero with someone because they have that equipment, and otherwise you don't really care about him or her? Think about with the classroom. Do you only get help from a friend because he or she's smart in math, but otherwise you talk behind his back, or you don't talk to her otherwise, and maybe, you know, you don't really care, except the person can help you with that? Then maybe you can examine that the opposite of love is using the other person, and see how you could change. What about your teachers? Are they only there because they give you grades and they can help you? You don't see them as persons? And what about God? Do you try to develop a relationship with the Father and with the Son and with the Holy Spirit? Or is God just someone that you go to when you're in trouble? And don't get me wrong, it's good to go to God when we're in trouble, but maybe you could foster a more deep relationship with the three persons of the Blessed Trinity. So we've covered a lot in this segment, that the body reveals the person, and then the body reveals God in two ways. One, all of us, all humans have arms and legs, etc. And that tells us we're meant to be gifts. And when we are gifts, we are like God, because the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are always gifts to each other. And then the second way that the body reveals God is in masculinity and femininity. That attraction to the opposite sex is good and holy, but it needs to be directed so that it doesn't fall into use. And then we talked about how God broadens that term use to various areas of our lives, where if we consider the other person as a true person and not use them as an object only to help us, then we will start living the theology of the body and be holy and happy. Okay, so I'm going to, in just a second, come back, and we're going to start the second segment. But as I fade away, I want you to go and try to get a ball. That is like a basketball or a volleyball, some bigger ball. And then I'll come right back. Okay, see you in a second.